Well, I'm sure you guys are as curious and as excited as I am for this video today as we look at the USA-made Gerber Sedulo. As we see with this S30V full flat grind, fully ambidextrous pivot lock pocket knife has to offer. And of course, we've got to compare it to the full-size Griptilian from Benchmade that made this style of locking mechanism famous, and run in some other competitive options with this style of locking mechanism as well. Well, there it is, guys. It's a fat pitch for knife lovers like you and me. But let's see how Gerber executes all of these pieces and see how it stacks up to the competition. All right, right out of the gate, questions I'm sure about deployment and lockup, what's being used, what does it look like, how does it function, right? So let's go ahead and hit it. We got good honeycomb thumb studs on either side, totally ambidextrous. They're not sharp, but they're not smooth and you're gonna ride off them either. They give you a perfect amount of grip that you would want. Flies open, very nice and smoothly. I'm gonna try and do this all on frame here for you guys. There we go. Super smooth because it's riding on brass bushings. Reached out to Gerber and I said, what type of bushings? Let's see if I can get them on frame here for you guys. Are they running on? You can see them in there. The lighting is playing with my camera today. Brass bushings is what their response was. We have a good solid lock bar right here that the blade hits and stops. Boom, hitting the pivot lock is what they call this, running with Omega springs on either side there. There's the little bar. Let's see if I can get that. There you go. The little bar moving back and forth, ambidextrous, righties, lefties. You guys can totally do that one-handed and whip that thing into place, pops into place, smooth. And the lock up, getting a little bit of rock side to side, zero up and down. When I bust out the full-size Griptilian, getting that slight rock side to side, and none up and down. So that's the deployment, very similar in that regard. No issues there, swings right back into place. Very easy to use. You can pull back the spring, whip it open that way one-handed. So just like you would expect from any of these pivot, access style, whatever you want to call it, locks, that is what you're going to get. And I totally dig it, have zero complaints. It's what I love to see. USA made S30V coming out of the Gerber factory. So super pumped about that. Gerber knows that steel. They've been using it for a long time. It's a good stainless steel. It's tough, it's robust, and I'm very happy that they went with that. And who knows, down the line, they might start working with some other stuff. I know they're starting to do 20 CV steel on some of their other models, so who knows, we might see some versions of that coming down the line. Overall blade length from handle to tip from my calipers, like 3.4 inches overall with a cutting edge of 3.25. And you do have a pretty robust for a full flat grind tip there, which I like, and a good robust blade coming back by the thumb studs at 0.12 or 1/8 of an inch thick. So good blade thickness, not overly thick, not too thin. Good grind angles, all of that, and really put this thing through its paces, held its edge really well, did a lot of good cutting tasks for that full flat grind. One thing that I did notice, and Gerber tends to kind of do this, they tend to do kind of wider grind angles on their factory edges, closer probably to 20 degrees. You see that with like stock Gerber strong arms, and I saw that with this. It did a good job cutting, but I just had to put a little bit more effort through, and it really bogged down on my hemp rope cutting test, whereas other blades that have just a finer edge geometry coming in at like 17 or even 15 degrees on either side cuts through it better. So it's not a blade issue in the sense of that. It's just an edge geometry, which I can easily change. I would have liked to see that a little bit steeper though. A little bit steeper grind angle on the secondary bevel would be good to see from the factory. So that's just kind of a data point for you. It's very functional and I didn't really have an issue with it outside of the hemp rope test. So that's obviously aided with the full flat grind for the edge geometry, but I would have liked to see from the factory just a slightly steeper grind angle. I can easily adjust that with my sharpening techniques, but that's just my truth dart. Would have liked to see a more aggressive edge geometry. Other than that, fantastic, performs flawlessly, good steel, good blade shape, just super iconic and classic, and obviously lots of coated, uncoated, and customizable options coming at you down the line. Let's jump on into the handle. I'm gonna bust out the little caliper here just to give us an overall length, and we're looking at about 4.5 inches, 4.6 inches overall length there, and we're looking at maximum thickness is 0.61 inches thick. And so what we're looking at is some either glass reinforced nylon or FRN handle scales. I'm not sure which one. Polymer. They're a polymer. You got this nice diamond texturing here, but they don't do it everywhere, so it doesn't create like unnecessary hot spots. Good texturing, I would say medium grit. You're going to get that on either side there, which I really like. What's really cool, and I wish it's an aesthetic thing, so I get it because only 10% of the population is lefties, even though this is a fully ambidextrous blade. They did put a little panel, and this just shows the attention to detail here, underneath that pocket clip. So you're not going to thrash your pocket. Still good tension there. And obviously if you were a lefty and you had to swap it, you could just, you know, grind that down ever so slightly with some sandpaper if you wanted to. I don't think it would thrash your pocket. It's a good, you know, kind of diamond texturing, but not like overly aggressive. Nice and rounded, contoured. The cool thing is we got a big flow through construction back here. It's not just a single polymer piece. And it does have stainless steel liners in there. And it's going to come in at 3.6 ounces. So it's nice and lightweight for the size of blade. And again, not really blocky because they've machined and rounded all of the angles. You do have a little bit of jimping right underneath here with the stainless steel liners and right up top, but it's not overly aggressive. It didn't cause any sort of hot spots. So it gives you just enough traction to grip, but nothing, you know, that's like overly painful or causing, you know, a hot spot in that regard. And there you can see it in my hand. Large size hands, as you guys know here at the channel. Filling out that hand really well. Feels good. Got a little bit of real estate on the back end. Good little cut in right there. Good traction. Just good overall feel. Feels really good. No problems there on the handle design. And there are a few options to choose from in the color combinations as well. And we're gonna get great centering as well. And as we look here at the pocket clip, super pumped about that because it's a deep ride loop over flush with the handle. Totally dig that. Recessed screws. Come on, Gerber, you know what's up. I really wish more companies would do that. That is awesome to see recessed screws there so that it will get over those thicker pockets, those reinforced pockets like on your 511 or, you know, Vertex style of pants. And then it has some decent flex without being overly flexible, you know, but it's not so rigid that you can't get it over those pants. Good little flare there, but not being overly obnoxious, not going to create any undue hot spots when you're holding and gripping the knife, even cut out so you can obviously access those screws easily. And again, completely ambidextrous for righties or lefties. So zero complaints on that blacked out low profile, deep ride loop over pocket clip. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and hit pricing, competitive options, and clarify a little bit what the reserve program is from Gerber. Now, I got this weeks before it was officially released. When I saw that they were making this design, I said, hey guys, will you send me a model to test out review for you guys so you can see what it can do, what it can't do, and whether or not it's something that you guys want to invest in. And so they sent this prototype over to me, so I've had weeks and weeks of use with it at this point to give you guys this video. And so what the Reserve series is, and this is part of their Reserve program, is that they consist of one American-made S30V steel blades or better, that they are fully customizable, and they are only available on the Gerber Gear website. So this is not going to be produced for mass production and other retailers and other, you know, distributors carrying it at this point in time, and to my knowledge, they don't have any plans to do so. So if you like this design, you can only pick it up over on the Gerber Gear website. So I will have links for you guys below if that's something that you want to take a look at, see what they have, the different options and customizable capabilities, and just more detail. That will be over at gerbergear.com, but that's where you're basically going to find it. You're not going to find it anywhere else. Now, this model, uncustomized, with the uncoated blade comes in at $100, and with the version that you see here with the blacked out blade is going to be $105. So I think it's extremely competitive for what else is on the market. Now, with that being said, obviously, as I said earlier in the video, the full-size Griptilian from Benchmade, very similar in size, very similar in shape. It's going to be about 120 bucks at this point. Comes with S30V steel. And they really had the patent on that axis lock is what they call it. Gerber calls it the pivot lock, but Omega springs exactly the same. I mean, very, very similar, obviously. The differences for me that I see are basically the grinding is different, full flat versus saber. The loop over pocket clip You can obviously request from Benchmade loop over pocket clips, but that doesn't come standard. And the Benchmade does have kind of like this clacky feel. If you've ever owned a Benchmade, you know what I'm talking about. Whereas this one, the liners just seem to be a little bit larger, and because of the flow-through construction on the Gerber, you have a more deadened sound and doesn't sound as like clacky and cheap. And if you've ever owned a Griptilian, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you know, you're gonna save yourself 10 bucks and get a very similar profile, and I would say absolutely neck and neck, you know, blade from Gerber that you can see here with this Benchmade. You know, Benchmade has a good long-lasting warranty. Gerber has a lifetime warranty as well. So there's basically picking your poison at this point of models, you know, grinding and different types of pocket clips and some very minor featuring to be aware of for very competitive pricing that the Gerber is coming on to the scene with. Now, just as one other food for thought here, I do have the SOG Pentagon, and this is the XR model. That's what they call it. Very similar design. Got a pivot axis, whatever the heck you want to call it. Locking mechanism right back in there. Very cool. A little bit larger G10 full liners as well there. So it has a little bit of a denser feel. And this one is rocking XHP, CTS XHP cryogenically treated steel. It is made in Taiwan. Obviously these two made in the US. This guy goes upwards of 175 for the SOG, you know, and it has a similar locking mechanism, loop over, you know, a lot of that type of stuff. I could argue that the XHP steel is an upgrade over the S30V that you're seeing on the Gerber and on the Benchmade. So something to just kind of be aware of and competitive. But I just want to throw in some competitive options to show you what else is on the market, kind of using similar materials and similar locking mechanisms at this point. Well, guys, there we have it. The Gerber Sedulo, USA made, fully functional. And honestly, if you were to ask me, I think they nailed every single aspect to the design. No complaints. Absolutely, I believe now on par and on that same playing field as not only Benchmade, but many of these other brands now that are starting to use what Benchmade made famous in their Axis Lock, this pivot locking mechanism, because so many brands now are starting to use that. And I believe they have absolutely nailed the designing, the features, all that you get with this blade. Now you can customize it as well. And yeah, it's something that I know as long as Gerber continues to go down this line with not only materials, but designing, they are going to make it very easy for a knife lover like myself and probably like you to begin to put their gear in my regular rotation of pocket knives, fixed blades, and other tools. So that's my feeling on it. I want to hear your guys' feeling. How do you see where the Sedulo lands? Pros, cons, positive, negative. What's your feeling on this and the direction that Gerber is going? I look forward to reading those comments, seeing what you guys think, and having the interaction that we have all the time here at the channel. And I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Check out the other video popping up. Subscribe if you're not yet a current subscriber. Check us out on all the social media, doing stuff there all the time as well. And finally, guys, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.